Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? It's Jeff. Well, got a lot here to talk about here today because a lot's been going on. I'll just say right here, today about, or maybe more than at this point, 600 people have been arrested in New York and New Jersey from ICE raids. You know, the looking for immigrants, illegal immigrants, immigrants that have criminal records or something, and so, you know, it's starting already here. And the Senate confirmed Pete Hegseth as Defense Secretary, and Kristi Noem has been confirmed as Homeland Security Secretary. And you know, this other development here, let me see, where members of MAGA here, as they're creating bounty hunter programs here to go after immigrants. In Mississippi, they're doing this. Matthew Barton, a Mississippi district attorney, is proposing a bill that would pay bounty hunters for assistance in deporting illegal immigrants. Under the terms of House Bill 1484, the state would create the Mississippi Illegal Alien Certified Bounty Hunter Program, which would pay a $1,000 reward to registered bounty hunters for each successful deportation they facilitate. The excuse for this from the DA said that the reason is comes down to public safety issues and the financial burden created by people who live without immigration statuses. He said, I quote, "In DeSoto County, we've had over 1,000 undocumented immigrants come through our county jail here in Hernando over the last 4 years, which is more than twice as much as the previous 4 years," said D.A. Barton. He said the funds would be made available to citizens or certified bounty hunters. There's a couple of things to note. One is that he has no way of knowing how many people booked are people who lack immigration status. He might know how many people ICE said that were interested in, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the person didn't have immigration status. ICE might put that alert for a permanent resident or someone with a student visa, says Lily S. Axelrod of Immigration Law PLLC. Axelrod fears ill-intentioned vigilantes would use the program as an excuse to profile individuals. And that's true. I mean, what the hell does a bounty hunter know, right? Individual immigration records are not public records. The Freedom of Information Act allows you to request another person's record only with their consent or if they are deceased. She also said most people who live without immigration status contribute positively to society. Quote, "I would say that in North Mississippi, if you have ever had your lawn taken care of, if you ever had a construction project done on your home, if you have ever had a remodeling done in your office, if you have ever been on a street that was paved, if you have ever had a disabled or elderly loved one taken care of by a home health assistant, you should think an undocumented immigrant, because folks in those industries are really carrying a lot of heavy weight in our economy." Yeah, that's true. It goes without saying that if you round up all the immigrants in this country, with without much, investigation, indiscriminately, you're going to end up, because look, Trump has this goal of 20 million immigrants out of this country. Okay, by best estimates, they don't think there are 20 million. There's probably 14 million. Okay, immigrants in the country, but not 20 million. But that means if his goal is 20 million, that means that he's going to round up what, 7 million more people, whether they're illegal or not, whether they're citizens or not, just to satisfy that number, that goal, 20 million. Okay, so we, you know what I'm saying? That means a lot of people who are probably going to get kicked out of the country are going to be done. It's going to happen to people, regardless of whether they're here legally, or if they were born here, or it won't matter. If your skin color don't look right, or you got the wrong kind of last name, your name's going to go into a list, and people are going to round you up, one of these bounty hunters, and they're going to just, kick you out, and it's not going to matter how it's done, So, the brown shirt event is taking place now in this country here. We're going after these people, and I don't know what to say. I mean, of course, people, immigrants that have committed crimes and stuff, I mean, but they still are subject to our laws, and that, which means they still have due process. Okay, you can't just round them up because they got something in their record or something like that. I mean, they should go through the system of justice, but they want to do away with that too. So what the hell is it gonna mean for this country, when we start doing shit like this? I don't know. This is all new territory for all of us. Nobody alive today in this country has ever gone through any of this shit. Okay, so we're dumbfounded. We don't know what this could mean as far as the rest of the country goes. Not even MAGA knows. Okay, they think they know, but they don't. They just press the goddamn button, and they don't know what the hell's going to happen. Okay. Donald Trump is the only one who fucking knows what his ultimate goal is here, okay? And the rest of us might think we know what he's up to, but the truth of it is that because he's so mentally debilitating, okay, does he have a real goal, or is it just a fantasy that he has, that he's working towards, something that would not work or wouldn't exist in the real world? We don't know, because we're being led by a maniac. Look, Hitler didn't even fucking know what he wanted at the end of World War II. Everybody says, oh, we were pure Germans. No, that ain't the only fucking thing. He wanted to get rid of the Jews. He wanted to have pure Germany. He wanted the 1,000-year Reich. This was all vague shit, okay? The things that he was doing. But there was no real ultimate goal here that he was trying to achieve. He was just trying to do what his sick mind wanted to do, and the problem was, because he didn't have a goal, the war just went on and on and on until finally Germany lost. Okay, the war went on too long and it cost everything. Well, I think that's what Trump is. He doesn't know really exactly what he wants. He's got an idea of what he wants. Okay, a concept of an idea, to use his words, but I don't really think he knows exactly what kind of an America he wants. He just wants to get rid of what bothers him out. Okay, no matter what it costs, no matter what it does to America as a whole, he just wants things, in sort of a revenge kind of attitude. I don't like these people. They wronged him in some fucking way. I don't like those people because they wronged me in some way. He just wants to get rid of people out of this country. That's his fucking, direction. I'm not going to say it's his goal, but it's his direction that he's going. Okay, where that leads us ultimately remains to be seen. Okay, nobody can tell you where we're headed. You know, what kind of we can assume it's going to be someplace bleak and dark. Okay, but to know exactly what's going to come out of all this, not a single person can really tell you that. So I really don't know what to say to people. You know, when they ask me, how do you even know what's going on? I mean, how can you even decide what's going to happen? You know, and there's really no way to know. There really is no way to know. So anyway, I have you know, a couple of videos here that I want to play. Okay, and the first one is going to be about Trump enacting Schedule F, which is something that's out of the Project 2025 manifesto, which is about him getting rid of federal workers and replacing them with loyalists who are, you know, careerists with, you know, that are not careerists, but people who are green people, basically, and they're just loyal to Trump. That's what he's trying to replace them with. And so we're going to go there to this, and then after that, the other video is going to be right after that, where we're going to have the iHip News is going to be talking about Vogue magazine, and we're going to have you know, them giving their reaction to Melania and Ivanka Trump, and them being in the magazine in the fashion section, okay, which is really kind of insane in a way that they would give any attention at all to these two people, because they champion, you know, against rights against women, and you know they they don't they back human rights violations that Trump has supported in the past. Okay, so we don't really. These are the wrong kind of women to put on Vogue magazine, I guess, but they're going to talk about that. So let's go to those videos here, and then we'll come back and then we'll discuss that.
Let's get started.
Paige, if there's any issue that Democracy Doc had covered more than anyone else and was at the forefront of, and we did several videos and the team did amazing reporting on this, it was Project 2025. And at the heart of Project 2025 was an effort to replace government on the merits with cronyism. And we have seen that now, unfortunately, start to take place in the new Trump administration. And Paige, I fear we've only seen the beginning.
Right, Mark. At the end of Trump's first term, he issued an executive order known as Schedule F, which basically was an effort to reclassify thousands of federal workers so that they could be fired and more easily replaced. Now, that order was quickly rescinded by President Biden once he got into office. But with Trump back in power on his first day, he reissued a version of Schedule F to make it easier to fire and replace federal employees.
Yeah, and he wants to do this because he is afraid that the federal employees who are nonpartisan will not break the law or disregard department policy in the way in which people he handpicks might do that. We're already seeing it in some of the earliest actions from this administration. The way, for example, he is appointing interim heads of agencies, some of the early layoffs. We are seeing him roll out the first efforts to replace careerists, people who are experts, people who know what they're doing. They know how to serve the American people. We are seeing them being replaced by people whose only qualification, and I mean that, their only qualification is their loyalty to Donald Trump. I mean, Paige, we saw, we saw this coming a mile away at Democracy Doc, and I hope everyone has been subscribed. And if you haven't already, you take the chance now to become a subscriber to Democracy Doc. It's free daily and weekly newsletters. The link is in the show notes below and above.
One thing to know to fully understand Schedule F is the way the federal government works. At the top of every federal agency and organization, you have political appointees. These are people like the Attorney General, like the head of the FBI, like the Secretary of Defense. Political appointees are people who change with every administration. They often get confirmed by the Senate, but they are top of an organization align with the political party in the White House. However, the vast majority of federal employees, the people actually carrying out the day-to-day duties of the federal government, are career civil servants who are nonpartisan. They do not change with the administration. It is all merit-based hiring and promotion. Those are the people that Donald Trump is now targeting.
Right. And he's targeting them because they are merit-based, right? I mean, look, authoritarians tend to not draw to their movement the best and the brightest when it comes to people who want to work in government. They attract people who are sycophants. They attract people who are yes men. They attract people who want to gain some private benefit from being associated with a strongman ruler. And I think we've seen all of those things around Donald Trump before, and we are seeing them even more so now. So Donald Trump surrounds himself with people who tell him what he wants to hear. And he surrounds himself with people who are constantly telling him how smart he is, how he's extraordinary, how he has superhuman powers and strengths. You know, it's all the stuff that the rest of us mock. You know, he believes. And so he wants those people, and he wants them not just in the highest positions of government. You know, you mentioned the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. What's she? She's an election denier, right? Why did she get picked? She got picked because she was a fervent election denier after 2020. You mentioned the FBI director. Why'd he get picked? Because he wrote a children's book. Kash Patel wrote a children's book in which Donald Trump is the hero and Hillary Clinton is the villain. Okay, I mean, like you couldn't make this up. And of course, he keeps an enemies list of people who he thinks wronged Donald Trump. Look at Pete Hegseth. Look at Tulsi Gabbard. Look at almost everyone who he appoints to political positions. Well, that's not enough for him. That's not enough for him. He wants to do the same thing there at the lower levels. Why? Because when people, when the legacy media says, well, don't really worry so much about Kash Patel because, you have these professional FBI agents. Don't really worry so much about, Pete Hegseth. You have professional people in the Pentagon. Don't worry so much about, what Robert Kennedy will do in HHS. You have all of these, scientists and career professionals. You and I are being told that by the legacy media to be assured. Donald Trump is hearing something different. He is hearing, oh, wait, there may be a speed bump. There may be an obstacle to getting done what I want. So I want to get rid of those people. Now, I'm here to tell you what the legacy media doesn't, which is that Donald Trump is going to replace those people because Donald Trump is an authoritarian at his core. And he wants to have unbridled power. And the only way he's going to do that is by replacing people who are principled or who are careerists. And so, make no mistake about that. There's no both sides in this issue. But Paige, that is why Schedule F is in some sense the most important thing to Donald Trump, right? All of the rest of it flows out of a compliant government.
Mark, and what we're talking about isn't our own imagination coming out of nowhere. Trump's own executive order reissuing Schedule F says, in recent years, however, there have been numerous and well-documented cases of career federal employees resisting or undermining the policies and directives of their executive leadership, the executive leadership being the president. And in this reissued Schedule F, it includes a provision that explicitly says federal employees do not have to support the president, but they have to implement his policies. And I think that's an interesting change from the original Schedule F, right? It almost seems like they're trying to cover their tracks and be like, no, you don't have to politically align with us. But if you're in our way, we're going to fire you no matter what.
Yeah, they're just trying to take out of the equation any sense of intent, right? And they're trying to say, look, when they get challenged and go to court, they want to say, look, Your Honor, we're not saying what people have to believe, we're just saying what people have to do. So they're trying to take that off the table. But that also kind of belies a lot of what we know, right? There has been reporting and some good reporting about loyalty, questions of loyalty being asked to career people. I think it was in some of the security agencies, who they voted for, who they support politically. So I think that is largely window dressing for a document. I don't think it is the reality of how this will be executed. And I don't think it's consistent, by the way, with Donald Trump's expectation. Like, this is one of these things that the lawyers put in and they tell him, oh, don't worry about it. This is just a bunch of language. I think Donald Trump believes that all of the people who work at the federal government should have to support him. And I don't just mean politically, they should have to support him in every every life decision he makes. If he wakes up one day and says the sun rises in the west, they have to say, indeed, it is west when they point east, right? Like that's just what he wants. You see it. He likes to humiliate people around him. I mean, he has turned a bunch of proud billionaires into court jesters who he summons when he wants to have a meal with them or when he wants to put them on stage and sort of parade them around. And that is who he is. So I don't think he believes this. But regardless of that language, Paige, the bottom line is that what Schedule F is about is part of a larger effort to say to the federal government, there is only one man. And whatever rules you may have, whatever agency regulations you may have, whatever expertise you may have, it doesn't matter. There is only one man. And if that one man says the sun rises in the west, you are to say the sun rises in the west. If that one man says that you can inject bleach to cure disease, even though it will poison people, you are to say, inject bleach. Like, he doesn't want any expertise. He just wants people to do what he says. And that is a dangerous thing for the country. It's a dangerous thing for the government. And again, Paige, I hate to keep coming back to this, but boy, has the legacy media failed us on this. I mean, they have just utterly collapsed in the last few months. I mean, they weren't great before the election, but they've just collapsed in the last few months. And that is one of the reasons why Democracy Docket has expanded its aperture a bit to cover more of this anti-Trump litigation, this accountability litigation, because it is so important that at this moment in time, there are news outlets that are willing to be fearless and standing up to Donald Trump.
Speaking of accountability litigation, a federal workers union has filed a lawsuit against Schedule F. Democracy Docket is keeping an eye on, and we'll keep you updated throughout this lawsuit through our free daily and weekly newsletters, so make sure you're subscribed to that. Mark, you mentioned billionaires, so we can't pass up the opportunity to mention the so-called Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, that's being led by Elon Musk. Elon Musk also pushed Trump to sign executive orders ordering federal workers back in the office full-time to end work from home policies, as well as institute a federal hiring freeze across the executive branch while DOGE does its work to determine what areas of the federal government could be cut or slimmed down.
Yeah. So first of all, there is no greater misnomer than the Department of Government Efficiency. Number one, it is not a department. Number two, it is not part of the government. Number three, so far, there is nothing that suggests it is very efficient. I think it's already gone through its co-lead. I think it was originally had two people heading it. It now has one person heading it, as I recall, Paige.
Yes, that person didn't get to lead DOGE, didn't get a Senate seat, but now they're eyeing Ohio's governor's seat.
Yeah. So Vivek, if you're listening, sorry, I don't think you're going to be governor either. But look, the fact is that all of these things are connected. Donald Trump wants loyal supplicants. Elon Musk is like loyal supplicant with a checkbook, right? Like he does what Donald Trump wants, and he's very, very rich. And by the way, Elon also gets stuff from Trump. Like, he probably more than most of the billionaires knows how to play that system. But the fact is that we're going to see a lot of efforts to replace government on the merits with these sort of ad hoc advisory councils. By the way, that has also been sued. There's litigation against DOGE for violating federal law. There's been several of those lawsuits. Democracy Docket is tracking those. But there are going to be all of these cockamamie, harebrained ideas about how to undermine the professional, nonpartisan federal government with people who are loyal to Donald Trump or to Elon Musk or other people who are doing Donald Trump's bidding. And we, Paige and I, along with the entire Democracy Docket team, are going to be covering that. We're going to be talking about it. We're going to be standing up to it and educating you. So please make sure you're subscribed to Democracy Docket's free daily and weekly newsletters. The link is above and in the show notes below, and we will see you next time.
Coup attempting convicted felon ran for president so that he could stay out of prison, and only won by a little over 1 percentage points. And the rate at which corporate America has bent the knee to this immoral person who does not value human rights has been alarming. But nothing has been more personally heartbreaking for me than seeing Vogue magazine's capitulation to the Trump administration. And let me give you a little background. When I'm not a podcaster, I'm an interior designer, and interior design is very fashion adjacent. These are two industries where women and gay people do not have to go over as many hurdles to find success. And when you think about Vogue magazine and you think about all of the women that read it and their unwavering support of the LGBTQ plus community, and the fact that their editor-in-chief, Anna Wintour, just received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from Joe Biden, I have been very alarmed to see that they are now bending the knee on their Instagram account to Ivanka Trump. Here she is here, and they do a post. Last night, the inaugural ball in Washington, D.C. concluded the day-long proceedings for the official inauguration of Donald Trump, first daughter Ivanka, blah, blah. Here's what I want to say, Vogue magazine. Ivanka Trump and her husband, Jared Kushner, were enriched by $2 billion by the Saudi government. I want to remind you that the Saudi government murdered and dismembered a journalist from their embassy in Turkey, Khashoggi. And they've done all of this with impunity. Nobody's looked into, there's been zero investigation into Ivanka and the Kushners. And I also just want to say this. Last night, Pumps and I went to an pro-abortion meeting here in Oklahoma where there is a total abortion ban. And we heard a woman speak that was pregnant, very excited to be pregnant, finds out at 19 weeks that her baby didn't have a brain, and the minute her baby was born would not survive, but the doctors could not do an emergency D&C. She had to travel out of state. She was bleeding. She was concerned that she was going to die. And this is what's happening to women all over this country because of Ivanka Trump's dad. And if she wants to put on a Givenchy gown and she wants to act like she's normal, that's her business. But how dare you, Vogue magazine, try to normalize or sane wash this shit when the overwhelming majority of your consumers and the people that love fashion are women or members of the LGBTQ plus community. This is a bridge too far.
You know, I thought it was rather shocking because Anna Wintour would not put Melania on the cover of Vogue. I don't think they're invited to the Met Gala, the Trumps. So I found it very odd that all of a sudden at the inauguration, they're uplifting Ivanka Trump, who, like you said, has made no effort to champion rights for women. It is very, very disappointing.
And then recently they doubled down and they sent a reporter to the Maha, Make America Healthy Again. And look at this shit show. Okay, number one, your Vogue magazine, and this is the first slide on your Instagram page, is this train wreck of a dress. Let's remove all the egregious human rights violations that this administration represents. You're calling this fashion? Go to the next one. Are you kidding me? And I also want to point out that all of these MAGA women, every single one of them, you know, they're big Jesus women. Notice her diamond encrusted crucifix. They all wear these blood diamond crucifixes because it makes them feel like, oh, I'm so close to Jesus. And so, number one, this is bad fashion. Number two, Vogue, what is going on? Seriously, can you not read the room? So what I want to say to everybody in the fashion industry outside of Vogue is hold the line. Do not dress Melania. Do not dress Ivanka. Can you honor the one industry where women and the LGBTQ plus community reign? This is so horrific. This is so terrible. You don't have to post this. You don't have to address it. You don't have to be Trump bashers. But by posting this, when people are suffering, women in red states can't access health care, when you have the Trump administration bragging about removing the LGBTQ flag from all public facilities, but people can still take guns into classrooms and all of this stuff. Stand for something. Hold the line. This is beyond the pale. I get, Musk being a piece of shit. I get Jeff Bezos being a piece of shit, but the fashion industry was one place where women and marginalized people didn't have to jump so many hurdles. And this is just very, very, very disappointing.
It's so tone deaf. I mean, it really is, because like you said, I'm not near as into fashion as you are, but I can take one look at those two outfits. The green, Make America Healthy Again, knowing that there's no value and expertise in this movement. So healthy is just bullshit. And then that horrific flag outfit. And even I know, as somebody that's not good at fashion, that's fucking horrible. And so it really is shocking and disappointing that Vogue magazine would put this out. I mean, I'm really surprised.
I was very surprised. And I just want to remind all of the people that love this form of art and found a sense of community in this form of art and saw that Anna Wintour was on the right side of human rights and on the right side of history, and that she liked to make good trouble, now capitulate. I know how painful that is, especially for marginalized members of the LGBTQ plus community. And that's why I wanted to speak out vociferously that I know that when you see that, you feel betrayed. And I know that you feel hurt, because this was an industry and an art form where you felt included and you felt like you had a home and you felt like creativity reigned regardless of your gender, your sexuality, the color of your skin. And to see this form of capitulation on Instagram is such a slap in the face to the welcome that this industry has given to human rights. And I just want to say that for all that remain in the fashion industry that have not bent the knee yet, do not bend the knee. Do not bend the knee to an administration that has taken away the rights of millions of American women. Do not bend the knee to an administration that has now said, hey, you don't have to hire somebody because they're gay. You can say, no, I'm not going to hire you because you're gay. That's the reason I'm not going to hire you. So for everybody that remains in this industry and in the design industry, hold the line, rebel, 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 because these decisions and these things that you're doing, and I want to remind you, Trump's best friend just did 2 Heil Hitlers. Anna Wintour, you do not have to go the way of Coco Chanel in World War II of this. You can hold the line. So many millions of people found a home and felt included and felt like this was an industry where it was okay to be funky, where it was okay to be a little different than the binary choices. And this is a direct slap in the face, and it is so disappointing.
Well, and we're not even a week into the administration, and we've got capitulation. People are falling like flies. I mean, it worries me about what's coming, as if I wasn't ready.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
Okay. So we, this thing here about Schedule F is, like I said, it's part of that Project 2025 manifesto. Okay. And, it's, basically, Trump trying to consolidate as much power under his administration as he can. Whether, I don't even think he cares whether or not a lot of this stuff is even actually legal, but he's trying to consolidate all this power in his administration so that one man can basically say what has to be. Okay, he wants to go over the heads of the Congress. He wants to go over the heads of the Senate. And, of course, he controls the Supreme Court. So, he'll have them to basically more or less back up what he does by saying, well, he's the president and this is all official acts. Okay, so by doing that, he's trying to essentially, gut out the government and the red tape, I guess, if you want to call it, So that way, when he has all these people, right, positioned where he wants them, he'll just tell them what to do, okay, and they'll do it without question. They won't even, you know, he'll trust that they're going to do what he says, okay. And you know, Doge, which is really not even part of of our government, is another arm of his, you know, oversight of the government. You know, another way for him to basically, you know, put eyes around everything that they do. And of course, the existence of this Doge violates federal law. But the thing of it is that as if he creates this, if he allows it in existence, then the Supreme Court probably say, well, it's an official act, or it's a, you know, part of his duties, therefore it's a-okay. Okay. So you know, people are going to try and sue the government over having the existence of Doge, but you know, if these court cases all end up in this lap of the Supreme Court, you know, I would say the game's over. You know, I don't know exactly how they intend to, you know, what can I say? I don't know how the hell they intend to try and get the Supreme Court to, you know, clear this with them. I don't know. I mean, it's everything that they do now at this point in SCOTUS is basically going to be split down party lines. Okay, the Republicans are going to do this, the Democrats on the judges are going to do that. Okay, with that in mind, it indicates how broken the Supreme Court is. So we can't really depend on the Supreme Court to function as it should by standing only on the side of the Constitution. That's what they're there for, to interpret the Constitution, not to, you know, promote an agenda, a political agenda, you know, or a partisan agenda. They're not there for that, but that's what they're doing, okay? So, you know, it's troubling, you know, along with the idea about the goddamn bounty hunters that are going to be out there helping Trump rounding up immigrants. I mean, okay, that right there in itself is very disturbing, but you know, when you got these things already happening now, you know, it's like you could see the damage is where it's going to happen the quickest, okay? And like I said yesterday, you know, in the red states, they're going to see a lot of the fallout from this quicker than the rest of us because, hey, it's the red states and the people in them that are Republican that have pushed this, okay? They pushed this into reality. And so for them, they might think that this is going the way they intend it, but I don't think they really thought that far ahead, you know, what this is going to mean for them. All right, let's go to a commercial break, and then we'll come back with a third video, and then we'll go there on from there. So we'll be right back.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Christmas. New trains, continental divide. Open it up, baby, take you for a ride. Don't you know it's a way from sea to sea? I will stick my ships in like it's 1914. Oh, yeah, you forgot we gave it all away. We're one of my age, show me how I might sway. I reach between Panama and Costa Rica. Stick my ships in and get on my freak, yeah. Don't you know it's a way from sea to sea? I will stick my ships in like it's 1914. Panama, 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 oh, 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 Panama Canal, Panama Canal.
Wow, good morning to you, Brisbane. A fine and sunny day ahead with the chance of an afternoon shower. Tops of 27 degrees expected. Right now sitting on a very pleasant 16. All right, let's go back to Stevie now and that world record.
Okay, guys, we've just broken the Guinness World Record for the most amount of underpants ever worn. We have reached 200 pairs of underpants. And I thought this would be easy. But let me tell you, I'm in absolute excruciating agony. This really hurts, but we have done it. Watch out for our next world record.
This might make you feel a bit better.
Oh, I can't hold it. Oh, that'll do the trick. I'm going to get these things off.
All right.
Okay, get me up, get me up, get me up. Oh, I'm going to pass out.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Welcome back, everybody. All right, this next video is again from iHip News, and they have this this issue here with Marjorie Taylor Greene again. Okay.
It's time to make fun of Marjorie Taylor Greene because I know that it's one of Pump's favorite things to do, and I'm all about being the best friend that I can possibly be. Marjorie Taylor Greene is having a very difficult time understanding that an executive order signed by the President of the United States doesn't apply in the United Kingdom. She can't seem to wrap her head around it. So Kylie, pull up the confusion here. So a British press is reporting the British government has refused to adopt Trump's order renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, insisting it will continue on using the original name. Marjorie Taylor Greene is not having it. She retweets with comment. This is why Congress must pass my bill renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. This funds the actual renaming on all mapping in our government. We have to force this to happen, and we should. We rename post offices all the time. This isn't complicated. What I have to say to you, Marjorie, is the post offices in the United States. That's what we call them. But an international body of water, everybody else in the whole entire world calls it the Gulf of Mexico. You cannot make the Brits call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. And the fact that she doesn't understand how stupid she is, to me, is at the epicenter, and it is the heartbeat of the MAGA movement.
I completely agree. And I have two things that stick out to me on that. Number one, DOGE, the Department of Government Spending, or whatever the hell it's
efficiency.
Efficiency. Is it an efficient use of money to remap every map in government for Gulf of America versus Gulf of Mexico? Does that make a good, efficient way to spend money? And my second point is, I realized, based on having observed Marjorie Taylor Greene over the course of the last few years, that she is not smart. She's anti-facts. She's anti-science. The fact that there is nobody in her inner circle, not an aide, not a staff member, not a friend, that would tell her, I understand your frustration and outrage that Britain won't do what this executive order says, but we cannot force another country to do anything. That's what's terrifying, which leads me back to your beginning sentence. This is the heartbeat of MAGA.
I have bad news for you. The thought that somebody in the room is going to have a rational thought and be the voice of reason. That was sadly Trump's first bench in his first term, the ones that now he's removed all of the Secret Service protections for. And these people were neocon, conservative whack jobs. What remains is this kind of quackery, people that do not understand international law versus United States laws. And so she is dumber than a box of hot rocks. Right. She always has been. And what's so dangerous about people like Marjorie is she thinks she's the smartest member of Congress. And she believes that she would pass a polygraph with true serum in an IV drip into her arm. Are you the smartest member of Congress? And she'd be like, you're goddamn right I am. Passed with flying colors. But this brings me to another clip that Marge posts on her Twitter. Kylie, play the clip.
As one of the few members of Congress that literally stood on my faith and biblical truth for the past 4 years, I had to fight when the voice of truth was absolutely being silenced here in Washington, D.C. You know, I kept a sign outside my office since February of 2021 that said there are only two genders, male and female. And I kept that sign outside my office and had it attacked. People would throw it on the floor. People would tear it up to pieces. And I'd have another one made and put it back up there. And we saw President Trump declare and sign an executive order that is the position of the U.S. government that there are only two genders. And so I'm so thankful to see our president come out and sign an executive order stating an absolute truth that I've had to be fighting here in Washington, D.C., literally alone. And so this is...
Yeah. There she is, a warrior, you know, alone, standing in her biblical truth. She's the only one. She is the only one, per her words, that has stood on her biblical foundations, that there are only two genders. And so my thing is like, okay, you feel like a tough guy. You said there's, you know, two genders. That makes you feel real tough. So now what's next? Here's what MAGA's done. They pretty much banned abortion nationwide. Right. They have removed trans people from, you know, government documentation, noting it's only two genders. You cannot fly the pride flag anywhere. You can basically have a gun anywhere you want to, wherever you want to. What's left? What else are they going to go after? Because we know they're not interested in the economy.
Right.
what else are you going to go after? You've got women where you want them. You're going to get, you've reversed employment discrimination from the 1960s. So now you can hire and fire somebody if they're female or gay, or you don't like the color of their skin. So what's next?
You know what I fear is next is he is going to start locking up American citizens that disagree with him. You've already heard that he is giving loyalty tests to government workers, and he wants them to report, like snitch on each other if somebody is not loyal to him or defies his decree, which moves into Democratic or states with Democratic governors. He's going to start putting people in jail is my next fear. And I just want to add one more thing to Marjorie Taylor Greene. She has a very masculine affect. I mean, she doesn't strike me as the most feminine person in the world. So she, of all people, should have empathy for people that do not fit in one of the two boxes, but she doesn't because she's a fucking nutball.
She is. And I think it's really the most juvenile, low-hanging fruit sort of thing to pick on people based on their appearances, and is a real window into the soul of people. And this, obviously, this is Donald Trump's number one go-to. And we all went to school when we were younger, and you would have a boy that maybe seemed a little bit effeminate, and you'd have a girl that was, we would call a tomboy. And the fact that somehow the government thinks how that person presents is their business is antithetical to the tenets that we believe, that we are a free nation and that you're free to be who you want. You're free to love who you want. And I think something that could be beneficial is if somebody is interviewing an anti-gay politician, let's say it's Mike Johnson. I think an appropriate question to Moses Mike Johnson would be, have you ever watched gay porn? Have you ever beat off and thought about penises? And he would say, oh my God, that's none of your business, blah, blah, blah. And then the journalist would say, exactly. Right. Exactly, Mike. It's nobody's business, because I would bet when rubber hits the road, if we were to look at Mike Johnson's internet search history, it's not good. It's not something that he would be forward facing. I don't think this is missionary style, Mormon secret underwear panty style sex that he's trafficking in. And I don't give a shit what porn people watch, as long as it's between two consenting adults, but they care because they're always up to something wrong. Which brings me to my next point. The big thing MAGA would say all the time, I just want inflation down. Right. Price of eggs are out of control. So all of the people that posted nonstop ad nauseum during the election, price of eggs, have all gone silent. Kylie, put the graph up. Here we go. So here are the price of eggs. And just yesterday, they hit an all-time high. This is Trump's America. This is Trumpflation. And you can see that eggs are now more expensive than they ever were. And this does not come as a surprise to me, because I watched a lot of the campaign, and Trump would stand there in front of the camera and he would say, people are worried about groceries. And that's an interesting word. Right. Groceries. Because he's never been grocery shopping in his entire life. The groceries have always just been stocked for him. So the word grocery was so intriguing to him because it was foreign to him, because his entire life from childhood to now, groceries have always just been in their place and never low and exactly where they need to be at all times.
He is so entitled. I'm sure somebody served him whatever was in the pantry or in the refrigerator. I don't even know that he's been in a refrigerator. But one thing that an article I read, I want to point out is, since Trump has made an executive order that certain health agencies cannot communicate their data And with the bird flu on the rise, egg prices are only going to continue to go up because part of keeping the bird flu contained is knowing where it is so that you can protect your own flock. I don't know what you call it, your chickens, to protect them. But without this information coming from these health agencies, there's not going to be any way to stop the spread or notify other farmers that this exists. So the price of eggs is at an all-time low of what it's going to be based on the first 3 days of Trump's presidency.
We all know it wasn't about the eggs.
Right.
We all know that it wasn't like James Carville said back when he was Bill Clinton's campaign manager. It's the economy, stupid. This last race was, it's the racism, stupid. And that has been proven in the very long, horrific first week of the second coming of this insane convicted felon. But I just want to leave everybody with a moment to let you all know that you're not alone, and that feeling like, what the fuck? And oh my God, do I watch? Do I not watch? What do I do? Number one, we all have to stay engaged. But number two, you're not alone. And I just want to play this clip for you right here in closing.
What do you say, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, this is what I would say to Stuart Rhodes. Go fuck yourself.
Okay.
You're a liar.
We didn't obviously get to beep that word out, but obviously this is personal to you, Michael. This is very personal to you.
Okay. Here's the thing. Like, that is more than half of America right now.
Agreed.
Go fuck yourself. And we are going to have to engage and find each other in platforms like this and other platforms of independent news that will tell you exactly what your eyes are seeing is exactly what you're seeing, and not being gaslit. And so please subscribe to our channel. We're going to be cranking out more and more content. We know sometimes it's difficult, but we try to make it funny. And we'll see you all later.
The rest of the world doesn't have to comply because Trump wants to rename that Gulf. I mean, the Gulf is the Gulf of Mexico, and it always will be, and it'll always be referred to as the Gulf of Mexico. You know, no matter what he wants to change it to. It's ridiculous that he wants to, and somebody, I think it was on Reddit, somebody was trying to explain to me that they're trying to change the name in order to gain access basically to parts of Mexico that we don't have access to, and I was like, well, what the hell does that mean? It's like, when has Mexico ever denied us any access along the fucking Gulf? Okay, I mean, we got oil rigs out there in the fucking water. I mean, the Gulf is the Gulf. I mean, we've never had any trouble using the Gulf to our own ends. Okay, and Mexico too. This thing here about Trump trying to rename the Gulf of Mexico is just a big fucking smokescreen, okay, to get everybody's attention focused on something ridiculous, while he's trying to take away people's Social Security, while he's trying to take away veterans' benefits, while he's trying to take away Medicare, Medicaid, while he's putting a hatchet job to people's safety net programs. He's got everybody talking about the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, even the fucking media is out there talking about that. Okay, that's not the issue here that we need to be focused on, people. Okay, the issue we need to be focused on is what he's about to do with the national budget. Okay, he wants to trim big time out of our fucking social programs and give tax cuts to the wealthy. And that's how he's going to pay for it, by us paying for it. We're the ones that's going to pay for that. He's got to get that money from somewhere, okay, to shore up where what needs money. You can't just take, you can't just give the rich tax breaks and then leave the country short of cash to fund all its programs. Somebody's got to pay for it. So that means for everybody else, things become more expensive. Our taxes go up, to pay for what the rich aren't going to pay for, which, you know, most of the time they don't pay exactly what they're supposed to pay. We all know this. I mean, we found that out a long time ago, that the wealthy get breaks all the damn time, and they've been getting them steadily for decades. Okay, just think about what it used to be, you know, back in the 1960s, what the rich had to pay, and now look at what they're paying, and then track the status of our economy as it declined steadily since then to where it is today. That explains a lot right there. Okay, when the rich started trying to pull out its responsibility of paying its fair share in taxes, that's when our economy started to go to hell in a handbasket. Because for all the things that this nation was trying to do, to spend money on, it came from us, the working class, the middle class, the poor. We're the ones that ended up paying the biggest chunk of the fucking bills, okay, when we really couldn't afford it, because we're living hand to mouth. Okay, the rich aren't, and they got all the fucking money in the world. I mean, Christ, just one of those fucking people has more goddamn wealth than the bottom 50-60% of this country. I mean, Jesus Christ. Yeah. You know, you want to talk about, you know, solving the national deficit? Christ, go look to them. They're part of the reason why we have it, because they're not paying. They're not paying into the fucking system that is the community of the United States of America. Okay, they don't even want to be American citizens, you know, to pay their share of living in this country. Okay, and as far as I'm concerned, if you don't want to pay your taxes, okay, and you want to stay and live here, okay, you can't. If you don't pay your taxes, that to me is worse than being an illegal immigrant. Get the hell out of America, okay? Because in this country, everybody contributes to the fucking system that we have as a government. We pay the fucking military, we pay the healthcare systems that the government provides. We put money in the Social Security program, so that way our elderly people, when they retire, have money to live on, okay? We all contribute into these things. And on the local level, we got a police force, we got a fire department, we have a post office, we got all these things our taxes pay for, okay? Yeah, there could be some improvements made in the tax system, I agree. But for people to not pay at all in the system, okay, you know, like Donald Trump was caught doing many times, okay, that's unacceptable. And there's laws against that thing. Unfortunately, they don't seem to function when it comes to taking down a bigwig, you know, like Trump for doing things like that. But it works on everybody else that doesn't. They come after you. Christ, they come at you like a SWAT team if you don't pay your taxes. But no, not with Donald Trump. No, they come politely knocking on his door. So, like I said, you know, this is ridiculous. And the idea that, you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene's sitting here having all this fit. What she's doing is she's trying to show her ever-loving fucking loyalty to Trump by kissing his ring and saying, oh, I'll take up the cause for you, Donald Trump, okay? Well, you know what? I remember him dissing her at a fucking airport where she was there waiting for him, okay? And this happened, when did this happen? I think this might have been towards the end of his first term or something, or his first time as president, where she was at the airport and Trump was coming down the stairs from the plane, okay? And she was out there ready to greet him, and he just walked right by her, didn't even look at her, okay? So, you know, Trump doesn't think too much of her anyway. But she's all about getting on his good side. And, you know, he picks up this ridiculous cause, and she helps run with it, okay? And I think it's all about getting the attention from Trump. She wants to be on his good side. She wants to be in his pocket as a loyalist. And, you know, it comes off that way. At least that's what I see. Because, you know, when I was in the military, I saw a few people like her who were always kissing up to the upper echelons, you know, the higher ranking people. They were following them around. It was so obvious. Yeah, I mean, I know, you know, when people watch like movies and stuff and they have a character that's always following around somebody in authority, okay, and some people think that when they see that, they think, oh, that, you know, that can't happen. It does happen. I've seen it, okay? And it looks sick when you see a guy in his 50s following around a major, okay, who's younger than he is, but he's basically around, you know, if that person drops a pin, he's right there to pick it up and put it back in their hand. You know what I'm saying? Just always underfoot all the time. That would drive me fucking crazy. All right. Well, that's what Marjorie Taylor Greene is. She's one of those fucking people that's got to be trying to get into Trump's good side. You know, do everything she can. And this is part of the thing that she's trying to do here, is to champion his cause to rename the Gulf of Mexico, okay? Not a brain amongst all of them, okay, in MAGA. Not a fucking brain. And the funny thing is that, you know, as the price of eggs still climbs, and it's still going up. It ain't done yet. It hasn't reached the apex here of prices, okay? It's still climbing. Which right now, the eggs are the most expensive they've ever been in U.S. history, okay? The most expensive. So, hey, Biden, it was better under Biden, okay? The price of eggs was better under Biden because they were lower then than they are now. Right now, Donald Trump holds that title now. And all I hear are crickets from MAGA. When before in the election, the campaign, they were constantly beating the fucking drum. The egg prices, groceries, everything's too fucking expensive. Okay? But here we are, grocery prices climbing, eggs are the highest, most expensive they've ever been. I even saw some commercials here on the internet for people, go buy some eggs. Okay? The egg industry's getting worried because people are backing off on the buying. I mean, what do you expect people to do? They're not going to pay $10 for a carton of fucking eggs. Jesus H. Christ, you know? But here they are. And MAGA's very quiet. The people who were bitching all along about that. But, you know, like they said in the video, the election was never about the price of eggs. It was never about the grocery costs, okay? It was all about racism, the LGBTQ community, the illegal immigrants, the divisiveness of all of that. That's what it was about, okay? But they had to sprinkle in some little things, you know, like the cost of gas, the cost of food, okay? They had to sprinkle some of that in order to sound legitimate. But those were all just, conversations just to improve their image. But it was always about fucking racism, okay? That's all it was. Bigotry at its core was what they were running on. They couldn't wait to get rid of the immigrants out of this country. And why? What the fuck did they ever do to them? Okay? Texas, the only state in this country that made so much of a stink about that, okay? That's the only state that ever bitch constantly about immigrants, okay? Why is that? You know, when these people come across the border, the crop pickers and stuff like that, the immigrants, they go all over the country, but Texas is the only one bitching about it. Why isn't it a problem in other states? Okay, we get them here in the state of Maine. They come up here, and we never bitched about it. But oh no, the state of Texas was the biggest, the loudest voice of them all. Okay. And I'll tell you, like I said before, I used to live in that fucking state, and I know just how bigoted that state is against Mexicans and immigrants, I guess. Okay, I know how racist they are down there, and they were that way back in the 80s. They're still that way today, and I think that's where this is rooted in. It's just they don't want these people in that state. They don't want Mexicans in the state. They don't want Latinos in the state. They don't want nobody in there that doesn't speak English living in the state of Texas. Texas is all white boys, okay, living there. That's all they want. They barely tolerate black people in that state. You're not going to find that many black people living in Texas, okay? But they don't make much of a fuss about that, okay? But they had to direct their bigotry and racism to somebody else, and it was them. Okay, my father worked in the oil rigs when we lived there, okay, and I would say 70 to 80% of the people working the oil rigs were not immigrants, but Mexican Americans, okay? And, you know, the racial slurs were flung around, you know, quite a bit down there. All right. And those guys worked hard, okay? Nobody can be lazy working on an oil rig, okay? But these people worked hard. And if you left them alone, they leave you alone, okay? And, you know, some people down there, they just don't like that. They don't like the, you know, having Mexicans or Mexican Americans or immigrants working around there, around them. So this really is, you know, the root cause of all this shit that's happening today, as far as the roundup of these people in New York and stuff, ICE raids and all that shit. This all gets rooted right back down there to Texas, okay? The racist bigotry bullshit that's going on down there for generations, okay? Because they're trying to ethnically cleanse their state, okay? So it's only white boys living down there, okay? That's what this is all about. It is. Unfortunately, I know people are going to say, oh, you're full of shit. Well, okay, I can be full of shit all I want, but I live down there, so I know what I'm talking about. I've seen it, okay? I've seen it. So I'm not talking, you know, in an echo chamber about things that other people are saying. I lived through it. I saw it, you know? I saw how they're treated down there. And what's going on down there, what's happening today is directly, in my opinion, linked right back to that, way back in those days, okay? Maybe even further back than that, okay? Because I showed up there in 1980 in the state of Texas, living down there, okay? And so it was already started, okay? The town that I lived in, Ozona, okay? Half that fucking town is for the white people. The other half of that town is for the Mexican Americans. You can't make it more racist than that, right? I mean, Christ, you might as well have built a wall right down the middle of that fucking town. Now, the wall was the interstate that runs through it, okay? One side of the interstate in that town, it's over there, that's all them, okay? And then over here, it's all them. You know, right from the very beginning of the founding of that town, they were segregating each other. So that's where this is all coming from, you know? And it's sad that it's gotten to this point, but when you think about how strong people's feelings are about certain groups, how strong people can be with bigotry, this was inevitable, okay? Because we've done, as far as I'm concerned, we haven't done enough over the generations in my lifetime to correct this thing in our society. You know, to normalize diversity in America, in a country that was developed to be diverse, okay? We were supposed to be accepting of other cultures and stuff in our country. But we never did that. And you know, and I feel like, what the hell were we trying to make in America? You know, when we're really no better than we were, you know, then. I mean, yeah, we don't have slavery anymore, but we got different kinds of slavery in America, don't we? Okay? People are still being abused in different ways. You know, economic abuse can be just as demoralizing as being whipped on a post. Okay? So they found different ways to abuse, you know, the blacks, the Hispanics, you know, the Asian population. They found different ways. You know, and at the same time, we've created a whole new underclass, you know, in our country, of people that we can kick around and shove around, and that's the homeless. You know, the people, you know, they're just like living like nomads, you know, going from state to state. You know, we've created that in this country, and that should never have been allowed to happen. We were supposed to have that. Those safety net programs that we have were supposed to catch people from falling into that. What happened? You know, certain politicians, they had to cut this, cut that, cut all this crap, you know, and before you know it, you created cracks in the system. And so now we got all these people out there, you know, that are basically just, you know, nomads. Like I said, they're Americans, but they have no home. They have no job, and they're just roaming around the country. And, you know, and this homelessness is becoming almost a subculture of America, where these people have tried to help each other because they can't get help from the government. You know, they're getting help from one another. They're creating their own community, as it were, to help each other to survive in this country that's being taken away from them. You know, and that's only going to get worse under the Trump administration, especially when you start kicking out a whole bunch of people. All right, you're going to have a lot of places are simply just going to shut down because they don't have the labor force that they once had. And what happens when you shut down? That means people get laid off. They lose their income. You know, they can't pay their bills. All of a sudden, you know, if one of them, somebody gets sick, and then they got a hospital bill, and they're, you know, and they're wiped out. You know, you're going to see an uptake in that. You're going to see a lot more people on the street holding signs. You know, that's what we're leading to. It's just, we're going to look a lot like many third world countries, many banana republics that are in the world. Okay, we're going to start looking like that. We're going to be the richest. The richest country there is, but we're going to have the greatest wealth gap that's ever been with, you know, you're either going to be the super rich or you're going to be the super poor, okay? Just think about how ridiculous it's going to be from now on to keep saying to people, oh, America's the richest country in the world. Really? A country that could feed all its population but won't? You know? A country where everybody could have, you know, it's plentiful, where, you know, if the rich would share the wealth, that we'd all be sitting good, but they won't. What the hell does the wealth really mean at the end of the day if it's not being used, you know, to benefit the whole boat, basically, okay? If you got all the money and power in the hands of just a few, it doesn't matter if you think the country's the wealthiest in the world. It's only wealthy to the very few people living in it. Everybody else is just as poor as they can be. So how can you say this is the richest country in the world? It ain't, okay? It would be rich if everybody was part of the game, but it ain't. It's like George Carlin had said, it's a big club and you're not in it, okay? It's a big club, but you're not in it. So, you know, as far as the rich are concerned, America is only for them, okay? Everybody else, well, why are you even here? Just get the hell out of America. We don't want you around. We don't want to see you. We don't smell you. We don't, you know, we don't even want to talk to you, okay? That's the way they think of us. If they could make us all illegal immigrants, they would do it if they could get away with it. And believe me, they're going to try, okay? This birthright citizenship stuff they've been going after here, that's just part of it. You know, they're putting all that into question. So believe me when I say they're trying, the rich, the oligarchs as they call them, are destined to simply erase the government, okay, and they will be responsible for how our country operates. It won't be a government. It'll just be the oligarchs of America. They're going to be just the ones to decide the laws, what is and what isn't possible. They're going to be the ones that are going to give jobs to people and so they can work for peanuts, you know, and keep them as slave labor. All right? I mean, because that's, like I said, that's the way things were going when we first started colonizing this country. Before we had a government established, we were living just like that, where the rich were overseeing everybody else that were just paupers, okay? And you know, when we decided we had enough with England and we wanted to be our own country, well, that kind of put a pause in that, because we had to create a government and we wanted it to be fair, and the rich didn't like that, the way we were hammering out this thing, and ever since then they've been trying to undo it. to bring us back to the way we were before we established the United States of America after the war. So, you know, that's where we're headed. But like I said, the price of eggs is through the roof, and MAGA's quiet because what they're really looking forward to is seeing a bunch of people getting arrested and sent out of the country, crying and clapping and applauding as it happens. And I've already seen the comments from people already who are out there applauding the fact that 600 people have already been arrested in New York and New Jersey. There's people already clapping and applauding right now, as if you read the comments from that, and it's sickening. It really is sickening. So I really, I don't know what to tell people, except be very careful. Be very careful out there. Trump is unpredictable, and so is MAGA. Things are going to happen, and a lot of the stuff that'll happen is not going to be very pretty. I'll tell you that right now. We're going to be seeing times we've never seen in our life. We've read about it happening in this country, but now we're actually going to relive it. Okay, and that's going to be scary for a lot of us. All right, so that's it for today. I hope everybody has a great rest of the weekend. So please subscribe, comment, and share. Keep your ears open for any health-related matters, and treat each other kind out there. Be nice. You know, there's very, very few nice things left to in our lives, and you know, we can change that by changing our attitude towards each other, and you might find that that might make things a little more tolerable. So give it a shot. I'll talk to you later. Take care.